each little movement pushes toward that peak strength, after which it suddenly goes away. We call this a brittle failure because there's little deformation to warn you that there's going to be a collapse. It happens suddenly, and if you happen to be inside a deep hole when it does, you might be just fine, like our little friend here, but if a bigger section of the wall collapses, your chance of surviving is slim. Soil is heavy. Sand has about 2.5 times the density of water. It just doesn't take that much of it to trap a person. This is not just something that happens to people on vacations, by the way. Collapsing trenches and excavations are one of the most common causes of fatal construction incidents. In fact, if you live in a country with workplace health and safety laws, it's pretty much guaranteed that within those laws are rules about working in trenches and excavations. In the US, OSHA has a detailed set of guidelines on how to stay safe when working at the bottom of a hole, including how steep slopes can be depending on the types of soil, and the devices used to shore up an excavation to keep it from collapsing while people are inside. And for certain circumstances where the risks get high enough or the excavation doesn't fit neatly into these simplified categories, they require a professional engineer be involved. So does all this mean that anyone who's not an engineer just shouldn't dig holes at the beach? If you know me, you know I would never agree with that. I don't want to come off too earnest here, but we learn through interaction. Soil and rock mechanics are incredibly important to every part of the built environment, and I think everyone should have a chance to play with sand, to get muddy and dirty, to engage and connect and commune with the stuff on which everything gets built. So by all means, dig holes at the beach. Just don't dig them so deep. The typical recommendation I see is to avoid going in a hole deeper than your knees. That's pretty conservative. If you have kids with you, it's really not much at all. If you want to follow OSHA guidelines, you can go a little bigger, up to 20 feet or 6 meters in depth, as long as you slope the sides of your hole by 1.5 to 1, or about 34 degrees above horizontal. You know, ultimately you have to decide what's safe for you and your family. My point is that this doesn't have to be a hazard if you use a little engineering prudence, and I hope understanding some of the sneaky behaviors of beach sand can help you delight in the primitive joy of digging a big hole without putting your life at risk in the process. I was impressed to learn that the training for many lifeguards and emergency responders now includes ways to safely and quickly excavate a victim from a collapsed sand hole. The general procedure is to form 2 rings of responders around the collapse, moving sand outward from the